All right, we are back. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. You notice sitting next to me is not Lisa, somebody very different than Lisa. Mitch is here. Mitch had to get on with his day, has other things that needs to get done. But I'm so happy to have Mitch Axelrod with us. He is really a genius when it comes to selling. He's got a very different perspective on content. He's got a very different perspective on really how you convert your content into dollars. A lot of us think, well, the content's got to be locked up in a CD or a DVD, or it's got to be a book form, or it's got to be a lot of this. And he takes a different perspective completely. And he says, well, forget all that. What if you were to license your content? Now, you know, licensing, there's a lot of money in licensing, but you never really think about it in terms of your content. You could actually license your content and make a ton of money ongoingly without ever having to duplicate anything. Correct?
Correct.
Good to have you here, Mitch. Thank you so much for being part of this.
It's always great to be with you, Robert.
It's the new year coming up, man. We got a lot of good stuff happening, right?
It's a new year. It's a new game. It's a new life. It's all new right now. Everything's new. That's the buzzword. Yeah,
2015 is where
here.
we're at, man. I'm just so excited. I can't tell you how much of a joy it is to have you come and join us. And I know you were gracious enough to say, I'll come, I'll do whatever you want. I'll support you any way you want. And here you are.
And here I am.
Thank you so much for being here.
Support goes both ways, and you've been a great friend. You've been a great colleague. You're just a great guy. There's a Jewish word, mensch. Means a good man, and you're a good man. So where are you? Whenever you need me,
brush up on my Yiddish. I haven't been to Long Island in so long. I forgot.
Long Island, right? So I'm happy to be. I'm a Brooklyn boy, born and raised Crown Heights.
And Lisa's here from Queens.
Yeah, we got we got three of the boroughs represented here.
Actually, Laura is also from the East Coast, I believe.
She's from New Jersey.
New Jersey, right?
Yeah,
she's a Jersey girl.
Jersey girl. Well, I'm a Jersey guy too. I'm a bit of a hybrid.
So far, Jeanette's the only one that's actually from California.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's funny. We're all transplanted.
And Warren, where are you from?
I was born in California.
Warren was born in California. We got two Californians there. All the rest of us from the East Coast. All right, well, there you go.
All right, well, we'll bring some East Coast energy here today.
So tell me what's going on. Let's get into you bringing great value to those people who are watching and really want a better 2015. They're sick and tired of the status quo.
Yeah.
The new game, the new life, the new year. What do you got for us?
Well, I'd say the place to start really is I like to talk about new thinking. And really where everything starts with us is, the 6 inches between our ears. So I like to say that 6 inches is the most valuable real estate in the world. It's also the most valuable trapped real estate in the world. And so if you really think about the way you think, I suggest that you throw the box away. People talk about get outside the box. But if you're outside the box, you're actually just in a bigger box.
There's still a box.
Yeah, you're still tethered to the box.
Yeah.
So the way I've operated my business and my life, really all 36 years now, self-employed, is I throw the box away. So I suggest that when you start the new year, you start with what I would call no box thinking. All right? Because if you are trapped by boxes, boundaries, or borders, you put self-imposed limits on just about everything, and particularly your thinking. So if you think about what you want out of the next year, I don't start with goal setting. We've talked about this a little bit, and I like to say, do your soul setting and your role setting, and then do your goal setting. All right, and this is a model that I've been practicing for 20 plus years. It enabled me to take 10 years off and raise my son as a full-time stay-at-home dad, because that was soul for me. It enabled me to play for the love of the game, role. In other words, if you set your soul and you set your role and then you set your goals in the context of your soul and your role, you have a much more satisfying life. The old game was all about goal, 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 and you do whatever it takes to get the goal. The challenge with that is goals are very ephemeral and they're all future-based. So here's the problem with goals in general. You never get to the goal until you get to the goal. So if you spend most of your life or all of your year planning to get to a goal, what if you don't get to that goal? I mean, this is the perfect time of year we're reassessing.
That's right, we all are. That's exactly what's going on. I'm sitting here doing the same thing. We had the conversation just before we came on camera that, I'm sitting here thinking about, I wanted this, but I got this instead, and here I am feeling a little disappointed.
Well, and that's the trap of goal setting. The trap of goal setting is it's an either or, all or nothing game. So there's no 99% goal. And so if you start with goal and then you organize your entire life around getting the goal, what happens if you don't get the goal? You get disappointed. You get something I call goal frustration. And goal frustration is the distance between where you are.
We don't have a pill for that.
There is a pill for that. I'm actually going to give you a one-sentence phrase. Actually, I already gave it to you. But we're going to create an app for that. But there's not a pill for it. We're working on the pill. But if you actually think about this whole idea of do whatever it takes to get the goal, how many people I've met over my life in 36 years in business who are miserable at what they do. They're really not doing what they're meant to do. I love what Jeanette said about doing what you love. I've always said, play for the love of the game. And when you stop loving the game that you're playing, life is too short to keep playing a game that you don't love, no matter what the goal is. So if you set the goal here and you're just a little bit short, most of the time, because that's success or failure, you look at it as failure. You don't look at it as I got almost to my goal. All right. And then if you change your role, you're doing things that you're not suited to do, you're doing things that you really dislike or distasteful, you're not enjoying the journey. So I realized about 25 years ago that if I was really going to enjoy this game called business, I had to start from the inside out, and that's my soul. So what is my soul telling me to do? What is my soul? Who am I trying to be as I'm doing the business of what I'm doing? And so it dawned on me about 25 years ago that if I come from my soul and then I do what I'm really good at, my role, whatever goals I achieve will be gravy. That'll be the cherry on top of the ice cream. But if I have a great soul life, I have a great role life, chances are good I'll actually get more of my goals because they'll be in alignment. It was a word Laura used earlier. I loved it. Alignment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first thing I would say is if you really want to make 2015 your best year, don't measure it solely on how many goals you accomplish. Measure it more on are you being who you really are? Are you being self-expressed? And are you doing what matters to you? Are you doing what you value? And if you're not being who you are and you're not doing what you value, does it really matter how many goals you get? You're not going to be a happy camper. So I say if you really want to have the best year, do your soul setting, do your role setting, and then do your goal setting in the context of that.
Would you be interested in talking a little bit about soul setting? Because I know you've done a lot of this work, and it's sort of, for a lot of us, it's sort of new terminology, and we would really want to get in there and say, okay, what is this really?
Yeah, well, it's funny, it's a profit seminar, right?
Is it?
And so people say, we're doing a profit conference, and
right.
What does soul setting have to do with profit? Well, if you really look at the new model of business, the triple bottom line, the triple bottom line is people, planet, profit. Profit comes last. Yet the vast majority of people that I've met in business, and over 1 million people I've trained live in venues like this, they put profit first, and then they worry about the planet and the people. And so the hardest thing, and I've worked with thousands of people on this issue of soul setting, and they say to me, Mitch, I don't know how to do that. We're so disconnected from our soul that we really don't know how to get back in touch with who we are. So I say, think about what you loved to do when you were 10 years old. Because I think back when I was 10 years old, I was pure energy. I was pure spirit. There was no particular goal I had in mind. I get up every day and I did what I loved to do. And we lose that as we get older. So I say soul setting is go back and get in touch with who you really are. What gets you up in the morning, gets you excited? It doesn't have to be a commercial enterprise. It can be something you just love to do. If you can have a life where you're doing what you love to do, even if you're not making money at it, you're going to have a much better life and probably be more profitable when you turn your attention back to your work. So soul setting is really a matter of getting back in touch. I like to say it's like the Michelangelo effect. We've built up all this marble over our lifetime that really you have to chip away all that excess to find out, like, what's that soul that used to be in there that I've built up all this marble. And sometimes one blow to that marble can chip it all away and take it down. So soul setting is really all about getting back in touch with who you are. Now, sometimes you can actually use your role to get to your soul or use your goal to get to your soul. My concern, though, is that people put goal first. They make the goal like God, and then they devote their entire life to getting the goal. And what happens if you don't get the goal? Does that mean I've had people say to me in their 60s that they feel their life was an entire waste because they never achieved or accomplished the goals that they set out, and they sacrificed their whole life to become the person they are, and they're very unhappy. So I'd say the most important thing I've learned in the last 25 years, which has contributed to profit, it's contributed to people, and it's contributed to me. And that is to really come from who I am, to be who I am. No different talking to you on the platform, having a beer, having dinner. You're the same person. You never have to remember who you are when you're being who you are. So that would be, to me, the most important advice or suggestion is do your soul setting, then do your role setting, and then do your goal setting. It
is that concept of being authentic. Yeah. And not having to play the role and act like you're someone that you're not. It's like show up and as who you are. And it's always been the thing for me that has impressed me the most about people like Tony Robbins, that from what I know of him on stage, off stage, seems like the same guy, right? And it's always impressed me. And you're like that too, on stage, off stage. We can be having a beer, we could be at a restaurant, whatever. You're the same guy. You're always Mitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no other persona there.
Well, and that's an interesting word, persona. Because a lot of what marketing today is about is creating a persona. Platform is a hot word today. We all want to have a platform. We all want to be influential. We all want to make a difference. I mean, when you think about what your spirit is, I like to say love and serve. And this is where I got this from, which with the most profitable lesson I've ever learned in my life, I learned when I was 15. I had a job as a short order cook and a counter boy. I was making food and serving it over the counter to people in a luncheonette. And I worked that job for 7 years, and it put me through college. This was actually in New Jersey. And what I realized was when people walk through the door, if I could have their breakfast ready by the time they sat down, they gave me an extra nickel or dime tip. Those nickels and dimes put me through college. And I've learned something that has carried through my entire life. And whenever I get stuck, and I get stuck plenty, just like every other human being, I have my bad days, I have my frustrating times. Being from Jersey, my business partner says the Jersey devil comes out of me every now and then, But I would learn something, that if I love those people and I serve them, they would give me 5 or 10 cents more. And so I made my mantra of business, my life, love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. Love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. And that's been true for me in my first business, which was financial planning. My next business, which was real estate syndication. We raised millions of dollars, bought millions of dollars in real estate. It served me well in my speaking, consulting, and training. I love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. And when you're having a tough year, or you're down, or your cash flow is light, you can go to trickery, you can go to gimmickry, you can make special offers. But the truth is, if you love and serve people, think about it. How often do you get loved and served by commercial enterprises in the course of a 24-hour day, in the course of a week or a year?
You don't notice it.
When you do,
if it's
though,
all, yeah.
When you do
notice
when it happens, it's like,
it sticks out, yeah.
It sticks out.
In a big way.
For me, it's always been like, and again, this is the internal compass. This is true north for me. And I think each of us has to find our own true north. So I developed this strategy of I just love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. Now, I don't just do it in a Pollyanna way. Obviously, you've got to respect your time, and you've got to work with people who respect your time and your expertise and your value. All right? And so that leads me to something that's been a pet peeve of mine now, it's all right, for about 20 years. And that is when I hear people say, don't trade time for money. Don't trade, hours for dollars. The truth of the matter is we all trade time for money. So I realized early on that I want to trade time. Everybody trades time for money. Mm-hmm. Thing is, if you trade time for future money, you're giving up present, and you don't have any guarantee of the future. So one of the most important lessons that I learned was, if I'm going to trade my time, I want to trade my time for maximum money. That one distinction has helped so many people to stop deferring payoff. If you really look at goal, and this is back to this model of soul roll goal, goal exists where? When you think about goal, where does goal exist?
In the future.
In the future.
Yeah, it's out there.
So here's what I've become very tuned into listening to for myself and for other people. Words like eventually, someday, future pacing. People who are always out into the future are sacrificing the present for the future. So I say, don't buy into this myth that you can create passive income and live forever. About 1% of the U.S. lives off of passive income and investments. And you did a nice little presentation at the break on that.
Right.
And I agree with you. I agree with the whole model of financial independence is what I call AI plus PI plus RI. AI is active income. That's the money we trade. That's the money we get for the time we trade. Right. Now, the better your skills, the more value you bring, the more you can charge. So maximize your AI, your active income, and we overlook opportunities to maximize our income because we're so focused on the future. So we trade today, which is present, which is real, for some imagined maybe someday eventually future. And this has been the success model for ever since I read Think and Grow Rich 35 years ago. It's trade today for the future. I say don't trade today for the future. You can have a plan for the future, but today is where life exists. So first thing is maximize your active income in every way possible. Charge more for your services than you're charging now. In 1990, I went from $500 as a speech to $1,000. On January 1st, 1990, I was in the game a year. I raised my fees from $500 to $1,000. Nobody that year ever said to me, "Hey, Mitch, you were so good. Here's another $500." Nobody's going to raise your fee if you don't. If you don't believe you're worth what you charge, then here's my answer for that. Ask people, what do you feel I should be paid? And if they offer you more than you would have asked for, take it. Okay? Because we so undervalue ourselves.
Baby, take it. Run to the bank.
I can't tell you how many times I've just smacked myself in the forehead because I realized that I undercharged for the value that I brought because I was trying to manage somebody else's checkbook. And we all do that. We all judge somebody else's ability to pay on our checkbook or our savings account. That's and when my savings account was gone or my checkbook was very low, I tied my own value to the current value of my net worth. But that's not the real world. The real world is your value has nothing to do what you think it's worth. It's what somebody else will pay for it. So I've had hundreds of people come up to me and say, you gave me an immediate raise just by getting people to...
You got to say that again because that one, they're taking notes like crazy over here. And I know that's been my issue. It's like when there's no money in the bank, then my value, what I assume my value is, goes right to the floor. We all do it.
We all do. It's human nature. Now, some of us are bold and brave, and if you've been in business long enough, you have to get some bold and brave and brassy ones, all right, to manage life. But so what I did was 25 years ago, I was talking to a VP of sales, right? And I was in that stage where I had raised my fee from $500 to $1,000, then $1,000 to $2,000 the next year. And I was about to raise it again. And I stopped and I said, you know what? Why don't you tell me what you think this project is worth to you and what you would actually invest, all right? And I was thinking I'm going to charge him $20,000, $25,000. It was a pretty extensive project. He said, well, this project is probably worth $100,000, and we have $100,000 in the budget for it. So I turned to him and I said, well, how much of it would you like to give me? And he said, we'll give you $75,000. Now, what would you like to do for us? Do you see that power of giving people the opportunity to tell you what you're worth when you're not really sure what you're worth? So if he would have said to me $10,000, I would have said, Robert, you know what? My fee is $20. Let's figure out a way that we can bridge the gap between your 10 and my 20. And I'll take the difference sometimes in non-cash assets. So if he would have said to me, we only have $10,000 in cash, but your fee is $20, what would I do? Would I just try to get him to find more money? But if he didn't have more money, he can't pay me more money.
Right.
I would have said, let's talk about some non-cash assets. Is there another way that you can give me that $10,000 in some other asset that I could more than make up for that extra $10,000? Okay. So to summarize, if you're going to charge somebody and you're not sure what you're worth, ask them. Ask them what they would invest to get the result that they would like to have. And if it's more than you would have charged, take it. That's simple.
Simple advice.
Very simple.
We all need to hear this.
So this was a #1 bestseller last year. The first words, I'll hold it this way.
Hear it.
This one, The New Game is Selling. Great book. Great book.
Where are we? There we are.
Totally changed the way that you'll sell. So the first words in the introduction of that book by Leonardo da Vinci. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So if you think about now back to this issue of profit, all right, Where is your profit? Where are your opportunities? Well, you talked earlier in the introduction about intellectual property, and that's really been my game for 25 years. I've never really been in the product game because as a product vendor, I'm selling you something. So you either have two choices. You either buy it or you don't buy it. It's zero-sum game. So the way we change the game is we say don't create a zero-sum choice for the people that you work with. Create a possibilities of yes. All right. So what could I create that could be possibilities of yes? So if you start to think about all your opportunities, right? So in the new game of selling, we talk about 6 different leverage points in a business. How you attract customers, how you qualify them, and how you convert them. All of that is on the front end of business. It's the most expensive part of business. What's the most expensive part of business?
Attracting new customers is the most expensive, and it's ironically it's because where we put all our attention, put all our focus, put all our energy on attracting new customers. New customers. And yet that's the most expensive and the riskiest.
Yeah. So think about this. Think about your business now. Look at your business model and look at how you go about getting your customers. The first 3 steps: attract, qualify, convert. All right. If you get a customer, what do you do when you get a customer? I've consulted with thousands of companies. I've trained over 1 million people face to face, all right? 90% of the people that I've worked with, small, medium, and large businesses, they attract a customer, qualify them, convert them, then what do? They go out and they repeat the entire most expensive, least profitable part of the process all over again. Yep. So those are the front end steps: attract, qualify, convert. But the huge profit is in keeping customers, multiplying your return on investment, and reactivating customers. All right. So here's something that I've always believed in and I've always shot for. I call it the second sale strategy. The purpose of making a sale is not to make a sale. The purpose of making a sale is to make the second sale. The purpose of making a sale is to get a customer. So think about this, and I have these numbers laid out. We just finished recording the New Game of Selling training. We've got 40 modules, the best we've ever done. One of these modules will blow your mind. So just think about your first sale, what your average first sale is, right? Then subtract out your expense, because here's this very simple model of profit. Top line income, sales, minus middle line expense, bottom line profit. So it's not how much money you make, it's really how much you keep after all your expenses. So here's the thing. If your expense is all in the first sale, your profit on the first sale for most companies is going to be minimal.
Yeah, minimal.
So why would you then stop and go back and do that whole cycle all over again, attract, qualify, convert, to make the least amount of money and pay the most amount to get that customer? Makes no sense. Yet 90% of the companies do it because it's habitual. It's what they've been taught to do. So I say, look at your customer base.
It's a marketing pattern.
It is.
We can't break it.
We can't. It's almost like we don't. It's unconscious.
We don't even think about it.
Not even thinking about it. So part of what I do is I bring what's hiding in plain sight right in front of you. You can't see. If you put your hand up to your nose like this, how much of your hand can you actually see?
You can't.
You can't, because your sphere of vision is blocked. So this is where we are. Most of us, we can't see the opportunities here right in hiding in plain sight. That's why it's good to have a mentor, a coach, an advisor, somebody who could say, hey, Robert, look, there's something right in front of you that you're looking past. Why? Because where are we? Where are we most of the time?
Thinking about tomorrow.
We're thinking in the future. Where's the goal? Where's the goal? Where vision is so far out there, we're not seeing what's right in front of us. I'm guilty. All right. I have to have other people say, Mitch, stop and look at what's right in front of you. So if you think about where is your profit opportunity in your business, it's already there. If you've got a business and you've got customers, keeping customers. So one of the things that we teach in the New Game of Selling is how do you make the second sale at the time of the first sale? When I first got started in financial planning, selling insurance, 1978, I was trained by a guy who said, Mitch, listen to me. Here's the strategy. Once you make the sale, you get the hell out of the house. You don't let them think about it. You get the check and you disappear and you fly. And I thought, wow, that doesn't make any sense to me. Because if they just wrote a check, aren't they maybe interested in something else? It's like
how about an upsell? Yeah,
an upsell. So over the years, I developed what I call the 5 B's of how you multiply your ROI, your return on investment. Bump, bundle, bargain, borrow, and back end. So in the new game of selling, we teach you how to do each of these and bring them all together as one consistent, holistic process. So now think about probably the most common experience that we've all had. And the one that everybody knows is the natural upsell, right? You buy the burger, what do they offer you?
They offer you the fries, right?
That's the bump. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they offer you the fries. That's the bump. But what do they do next? They don't stop there. They say, hey, guess what? You've got the burger, you've got the fries. How about a soda? Let's create a value meal, okay? Bundle. Right now, what are you doing to bump your customers from the first sale to the second sale? What are you doing to create a bundle with the burger, the fries, and the soda? Okay, so now they've got you with the burger, the fries, and the soda. Bump and bundle. What do they do next? They throw a bargain at you. Supersize the soda. For another 50 cents, we'll give you twice the amount of soda.
Nickel difference, right?
Whatever, 20 cents, right? So now they've done the bump, they've done the bargain, the bundle, and they've done the bargain. Guess what they do next? Oh, you've got your 7-year-old in tow, right? And the 7-year-old, they see the value meal, the kids' meal, but what do they see?
The toy.
They see the toys.
Yeah.
So they borrowed the toys. They licensed the toy. They borrow the toy to get the kids' interest because kids don't care about what's in the meal. They want the toy. The parents want the toys too because that'll keep kids quiet in the store, right? So now they've borrowed something from someone else to create a better offer. Well, guess what they do then? They back end. So when you're walking out or as you're paying, what do? They give you a coupon to come back the next time for a free dessert or a free fries or whatever. That all happens in how long? About 60 seconds. Talk about masterful. They sell you the burger, the fries, the bump, the bundle, the bargain, the borrow, and the back end all happens in 60 seconds. You don't even see it happening. Now, think about your business for a second. Think about what you could do to bump, to bundle, to bargain, borrow, and back end. What's your value meal? What's your happy meal? What's your kids' meal? Right? Sometimes this stuff is sitting right in front of us, but we're not paying attention because we're out trying to chase the new client. We're trying to get the next new one, which is the least profitable one, and we're not paying attention to the very customers that we have. So I like to say that companies leave customers long before customers want to leave companies. We stop communicating, we stop paying attention to people because we figured we got them. Now we got a customer. They're with us. We don't need to. The romance is gone. Now the marriage has begun.
Right. That's exactly what happens, and you see it again and again and again where they got you. They think you're a customer for life. You're going to be loyal for life, but they do. Actually, I was talking to someone over Christmas at one of these companies that I've been buying from for years, and I couldn't remember the name of the company because they stopped emailing me. They stopped sending me catalogs. They stopped doing everything, so I couldn't buy from them anymore because I'd forgotten who they were. I was their customer. I was ready to buy again, but I couldn't find them. Mm-hmm. Right? Same issue, but it happens all the time. You're right.
Yeah.
We just go right back into reacquisition. Let's get new customers. Well, great, but don't forget the old guys either. So the ones who are more loyal to you.
Here's an interesting, funny story. In the late 90s, mid-90s to late 90s, I was consulting with MetLife, right? MetLife is the behemoth in a way. They have about 27 million policyholders, okay? So when you think about MetLife, you think about the blimp and you think about, they spend a fortune, probably, I don't know, $500 million on upfront marketing. So I'm sitting there with some pretty heavy, high-level executives, and I said, I don't understand something. Maybe you can help me understand it. You've got 27 million policyholders. You've owned 10% of the market. How many more policyholders, new ones, do you actually think you're going to get? You've got 27 million people, and you only get out to them at the rate of 4% a year, meaning they only touch 4% of their customers every year. What about the other 96% who don't hear from you? Those people are ripe for somebody to steal your business. Why would you not talk to those 96% of those people instead of spending all that money up front to think you might attract some new customers? You're not going to attract a whole lot of new customers. Now think about the other side of this, which is attrition of agents. So they've got all these agents that they turn over 20% a year. I said to them, why don't you just pay these guys a salary for 3 years and let them talk to the 96% of the people who aren't being talked to. And they looked at me like I had two heads and I just landed from Mars. No, we don't do that. We've got these budgets we have to spend.
That's not our model. We've never done that.
No, they were married. That's a great point. They were married to their model.
Yeah, they're married to the model.
They're married to their model. They were overlooking. So they were having all kinds of problems with customers disappearing. Well, why would customers stay with you if you don't care enough about them to go back to them? And here's the interesting thing, which really kind of punctuated this. I cited a study that had been done a few years earlier by the Life Insurance Research and Management Association, right? And they asked policyholders, what would get you to buy again from your existing insurance agent? 80% of them said one thing. What do you think it was? Woody Allen's advice.
Woody Allen's advice. Okay.
Show up.
Got to think hard.
Show up.
Show up.
The gallery knows it.
I'm not a Woody Allen fan. I'm sorry.
The gallery knows it.
The gallery knows it.
So here's 80% of your customers are saying, just show up. Just come back. And so here's the disconnect. The disconnect is that the insurance agent had the mindset that if they went back, the customer was going to be upset with them because they thought maybe I didn't sell them the right product, so they even had a fear of going and delivering the insurance policy because they had to sell it all over again, as opposed to realizing why people bought what they bought and giving them the opportunity to buy again at the time of purchase. They probably could have bumped who knows how many hundreds of thousands of insurance policies, maybe added $500 million of revenue to their company. But they were so stuck in the attract, qualify, convert cycle that they never stopped to think about, what if we kept our customers, multiplied the ROI, and here's the other thing, reactivating past customers. There's a gold mine of opportunity in most companies to reactivate past customers. But again, it's that fear that, well, they don't want to hear from us, or maybe they're going to be upset with me. I haven't talked to them. They'll think I'm self-serving. All of those may be true, but all of those may not be true because people want to be served. They want to be loved and served. So again, I come back to the fundamental premise that if you shift your thinking from selling something to people that they don't want, don't need, really don't like, to loving and serving them in the way that they want to be loved and served, they'll stay with you forever. They won't ever leave you. And if you really pay attention to them after the romance, once the marriage has begun, they'll actually bring other people along for the ride.
I think if you look at my example would be Apple. Apple does a really good job with that, and you're always being fed. The connection to Apple is so close, even though they're a behemoth company. You'll probably never get to visit their campus or anything like that, but you feel very connected to them because they're always sending you new updates. They're always paying attention and trying to make the experience better for you, and better all the time. So it's a different kind of model than, you're right, the insurance policy. I could feel that energy of that. Gee, I don't want to go back in. There was a hard sale to begin with, and gee, if I go back in, they're gonna say, oh, I don't want to do it again next year or whatever. Yeah,
people aren't lining up out the door at 6 o'clock in the morning to buy insurance. Exactly. I'll tell you that much. And here's the great thing about Apple, and I've been an Apple fan for 30 years. So this month, I went back to Apple. I had a computer that was out of warranty, all right? And one day after it went out of warranty, I took it back there. And I just said, look, it's out of warranty yesterday, but this problem has been recurring. And they didn't blink. They said, no problem. We'll put it in the notes and we'll just take care of it. We'll fix it until it's right. So what did I do? The next week, I came back and I bought myself a brand new MacBook Pro. And then what did I do a couple of days later? I bought myself a new iPhone 6. First new gifts I bought myself in 4 years. But it was the way they treated me. They didn't make their rules and their policies and their procedures more important than loving and serving the customer. And one of the things I really encourage companies to do, whether you're a big company, $1 billion company, or a small company, look at the way that you set up rules, policies, procedures, and protocol systems that force your customer to adhere to your system rather than your system serving the customer. And you can tell the minute you get on the phone to try to get customer service from a company if they really have love and serve in their heart,
right,
or if they're trying to just get you into their system because it's easier for them. All right. And so I had a great experience with AT&T, and I don't even mind sharing it. I couldn't believe what a great experience it was. AT&T actually called me up after I had put in a service call to follow up with me if I actually got what I wanted. And they lowered my monthly rate because they had a better plan. Now, they didn't actually call me for that. I had called them. But while I was on the phone with them, they said, Mr. Axelrod, let us look at your plan and see if we can do better. It was like, wait a second. Get the phone. Did I hear that right? If we can do better,
Yeah.
in other words, if we can do better for you. So the whole new game, it really comes down to love and serve. And it really comes down to the customer is the center of the universe. And if you treat people like people, you don't treat them like transactions or just a list. When I hear people talk about their list, it just annoys me because it conveys a mindset that these are not individual human beings. The first thing I look at when I get an email from somebody, are they talking to the mass or are they talking to me?
Right.
You can make a change in your communication just by stop using the word we, us, and just use the word you. That's all. You're talking to one person at a time, we're talking to one person at a time. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to a million people out there. It's just me and you. And so if you actually take that mindset that every single interaction is a precious interaction, this comes back to kind of like the intellectual property mindset. If you realize the value of the 6 inches between your ears, you're sitting on a gold mine. So when I work with companies, there are two things I look at right away. How well are you converting sales, and are there opportunities for back-end opportunities to grow your business and profit? And then where's all that intellectual property that you have sitting right in front of you that you don't even pay attention to that could be worth a gold mine of opportunity? You talked earlier about content now and intellectual property being the medium. I say content is the currency of the new game of business. When I wrote
That's a good way of looking at it.
When I wrote this little book 12 years ago, 11 years ago, The New Game of Business, one of the things I said was, here's what's emerging. Content is now the currency of the new game of business. Anybody who has content, intellectual property, whether it's formed in a book, in a CD, or whether it's digital or virtual, doesn't matter, or whether it's just still stuck in between the 6 inches here, that's equity. That's value. I once made a $250,000 sale on a table of contents. Okay, I made up a table of contents, and I sold an insurance company a $250,000 training that they went and produced, filmed, spent another $100,000 to produce. I owned it and then licensed it back to them for a $250,000.
Nice.
On a table of contents. You can do this today.
I love that story.
It's unbelievable what we can do with our intellect. The problem is we've been so pounded into product creation, info products. When you think about the info product game, the info product game is like a small sliver of the intellectual property game. Right now, this year, 2014, about $60 billion was paid out in royalties for intellectual property. $60 billion. The information products business even isn't a drop of sand in that sand dune. It's nothing. So if we stop thinking about productizing everything and putting everything into form, and we start thinking in terms of the formless intellect that we have here, we could make a fortune of profit just on taking the valuable 6 inches between our ears. Well, actually, I'll give you access to one of our free memberships, which is kind of the gateway drug we use to get people into this game. It's called The New Game of IP, The New Game of IP. And if you go there, you can get a free membership, and there's a great webinar there where I talk about the 8 key distinctions between the old game of information products
on the screen there.
and the new game of IP, which is intellectual property. So if you're able to really begin to unleash this incredible mindset of what you've got up here, there's profit. And we've helped companies create 5, 6, 7 figures of profit with what they've already got without having to go out and create anything new. So if you've got stuff in your back room like you do, if you've got hard goods, if you've got CDs, there's ways that you can capitalize on that without actually having to sell it. You can license it, you can rent it, you can trade it, you can barter it, and get this, you can factor it. Intellectual property now can be factored. In other words, you can get paid current money today for future cash flow, streams of cash flow that you might create in the future. That's called factoring, right? Except in the real world of business, factoring is for predictable, already on the books receivables.
Right.
So I'll give you a discounted amount of money today for that chunk of money that's going to come in over the next 6 months or a year or 2 years. Well, guess what? Intellectual property now is moving into the factoring game where, I mean, if you think about startup companies are getting funded millions, tens of millions of dollars with zero revenue. And some companies are getting second round, third round financing with no revenue on the future hope that maybe someday, eventually, we might produce some income. Or we might create the next YouTube and sell it for $1 billion. Okay,
We got to get in on that game.
it's an amazing, amazing game. And so I'm saying to startups, why not add a dimension of both a sales strategy and an IP strategy to capitalize on the money and the future potential revenues today? So if you have intellectual property, if you have stuff like books and CDs and any kind of intellectual property, there might be a company out there that you could rent it to, license it to. And here's the big secret. It's not the size of the company. If you're selling something to a company, you need enough people in that company to buy whatever you're selling to make enough of a profit. But let's say you have a company that has, I sell B2B mostly, business to business. So I've worked with companies, small companies, 5 and 10 people, but they had 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 distributors or customers or jobbers or agents or suppliers. You can use your content to help other companies attract, convert, keep, reactivate customers. So your content now, your IP now, becomes currency in the new game of business. And we only think about giving it away for free because that's what everybody else is doing. But you don't have to do that. You could actually charge for it. So we set up this thing called the IP Money Club.
Now there's a concept, huh? Create content and charge for it. Yeah, I like that.
This is all part of a shift in thinking, all right? And the shift in thinking is get paid now. So if there's one thing, aside from do your soul setting and role setting, then do your goal setting, right? But if there's one thing that I would encourage people to do, I would encourage you to do this like right now, starting with the next conversation that you have. Ask yourself and ask the person you're talking to, how do we maximize value now and how do we maximize income now? How do we get paid in the present, not in the future? Just by shifting your attention from the future to the present will shift the conversation and the context of the conversation from a selling vendor conversation where I'm trying to get you to buy something to a collaborative, cooperative, creative conversation where we come up with a strategy together. And so we set up this thing called the IP Money Club. IP Money, get it? IP Money? IPmoneyclub.com.
No, I didn't get it until
I didn't think you did.
When I saw Lisa laughing, then I got it.
IP Money. People always say to me, IP Money. It's like, it's become like a little...
I said, it has to be funny. The way Lisa's laughing, it has to be funny.
Well, if you think about this brain up here, everything that we create in hard goods or anything that gets created in the real world starts with a concept. So if you go to IPmoneyclub.com, this is for people who have serious 5 and 6 figure.
You better spell that out now.
IP Money Club. IP Money Club.
Not PEE.
No, there's no PE. It's just IPmoneyclub.com. And so what my game is to help you liberate the trapped assets that you are not looking at because you're so habitual in looking at the way that you look at things. And I am too. I need other people to do that, shake me up, and look at what's right in front of me. And that's really what the new game is about, the IP game is about, the new game of selling is about. And so the newgameofselling.com/insider. If you really like this idea of creating a whole new game of selling where you don't feel that icky feeling of, I have to close the sale. We don't talk about closing the sale. We talk about gaining commitment. All right. And so the newgameofselling.com/insider, that's where we have our very best opportunity for you to get all of our training tools at the most economical price. So, in summary, I would say that if you stop looking out there for your solution, stop looking at the next greatest system, and start looking in the mirror and taking stock of the amazing asset that you are, the great person that you are, things will change radically, and they can change really fast too.
So we got, I'm looking here, we got about 5 minutes left. Now I want to ask you a question about 2015 and where should people be putting their attention? What should they be focused on? Because everyone's been giving us their advice, their little tips and hints and that sort of thing. So with all of this that you're bringing up, is it time to stop thinking about the stuff you create in terms of CDs, DVDs? Is it time to really look at a different model? Is it time to, you tell us. What should we be doing?
Well, I'm not big on the shoulds and oughts. In fact, those are two of what I call the 7 deadly words of systemic self-abuse. Should, ought, must, need, supposed to, gotta, and have to. All right? If you hear yourself saying any of those 7 words, you're not operating out of choice. All right? So the first thing I would say is stop shooting all over yourself. Stop telling yourself what you have to, gotta, must, oughta, supposed to do, and start coming from choice. What would I choose to do? All right? Because, hey, tomorrow's not guaranteed. Next month's not guaranteed. Next year's not guaranteed. So the first thing I would say is bring your life back to the present and be present. Be present in everything that you do. Second thing I would say is stop looking out there for the solution. The next guru, be the original you. You were born with gifts nobody else has. You are unique. I look at the marketplace. I don't look at unique selling proposition. I look at unique service advantage. All right? What is your unique service advantage? What do you bring to the people that you love and serve that makes them want to do business with you? And so I would say don't set goals. And I know this is heresy. The lightning is going to strike me and probably I'll be vaporized here. I would say
we can arrange that effect.
I'm sure you could. I don't say stop setting goals or don't set goals, but put the goal in the context of your soul and your role. And look at the profit opportunities that you have right in front of you right now. And if you can't see them, get somebody else to help you see them. That's what we do. Every month we do coaching, IP coaching, sales coaching, because that's how we help people to see what they can't see, all right? And then next thing I would say is look at your intellectual property. Get to the new game of IP. Grab some of that. We have a very modest membership for 6 months. It's very inexpensive, and we do coaching every month. You get access to our stuff. And then the last thing I would say is this. In the selling game, stop focusing so much on attract, qualify, and convert, and start to focus on keep, multiply, and reactivate customers. You've got a gold mine of opportunity in your existing customer base. Even if you went back and made a sale of half the size of the first sale, you could jump your profit by 300% to 900%. With a sale, half the size of your first sale. So put your focus on what is existing today, what you already have, not what you don't have or what you think you're missing.
Outstanding. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a lot of fun, and I know the Peanut Gallery here has been taking a lot of notes.
Yay to the Peanut Gallery!
They've been tweeting a lot of your content on Facebook, I'm sure, and sending it out on Twitter and whatnot. So, Happy New Year to you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending the day with us and spending the time you can to support. Really appreciated. And we're going to take another short break, and we'll be back. I'm not sure who our next guest is going to be. We're going to have to flip a coin on this one. But we'll be back in just a few minutes, guys. Thank you so much.